Make no mistake about it. This is the most ferocious and merciless war our planet has ever seen. This is a relentless war of survival, a bitter struggle over living space and natural resources. In this war, races and civilizations clash, and in the final analysis, what is truly at stake is none other than world domination. This war is fought every day, and it affects every aspect of our lives. This war is fought in the media, as our elite pollutes our minds with shameless lies, trying to make us accept unconditional surrender in the face of rampant masses swarming to Europe. This war is fought in the academic world, as the malicious, perverted intellectuals who preach self-hatred and guilt are seducing us to welcome death and extinction in order to make room for the ever-swelling masses of hostile aliens. This war is fought in the realm of global economy, as the parasitical capitalist upper class and its managerial lackeys force us to embrace unemployment, poverty and death as progress, only so that these shysters can keep on stealing our national wealth and enrich themselves at our expense. This war is fought in the bloody confrontations in our streets and town squares, as our people are being attacked by gangs of predatory immigrants waging an open race war against us. This war is fought throughout our life, as we are constantly bombarded by the growing demands of the new economy, new society and the new world order. This war may have escaped the attention of the liberals. The leftists may deny that there is any war at all. But this war is a gruesome reality that affects us all, whether we accept to see it or not. Those who think they don't have to get involved, who believe that they can turn their back to all this, pretend that nothing is happening and stay neutral, are already in this mess just as deep as the rest of us. This war is fought at every level of our existence, and should we lose, the result would be the total destruction of European civilization, an unprecedented collapse of everything that can be perceived as normal and decent life. New dark ages with no hope nor salvation in sight. We have become victims of our success. The Industrial Revolution and the Scientific Revolution, both initiated by the ingenious European race, have now turned against us. They have spread into the developing world and opened the Pandora's box of population explosion. Now, as a result, we have to deal with mass immigration, ecological crisis, the depletion of natural resources, crime and chaos in an unprecedented scale. Our success made us lazy, complacent and naive. We lost the ability to understand and accept the harsh realities of life. We refuse to see facts as they are and choose to believe in comforting fairy tales. And when we do crash into the cruel reality, we nurse ourselves with the sweet lies our elite so willingly offers us. But the truth is that our entire life has become a battlefield, and at this moment we are still losing. We have become slaves of the monsters we created. Capitalism, industrialization and scientific revolution have now morphed into multinational corporations, finance conglomerations and secretive globalist organizations that have taken over our societies. Within our lifetime closes the great cycle in history, the cycle which started in the 14th century when Europeans embarked on the great explorations overseas, started to unravel the mysteries of nature, and the epoch of European dominance began. We conquered the world, and now the world, the third world, is about to conquer us. This is indeed an unprecedented constellation in European history, something we haven't experienced in centuries. During the last few decades, we've come face to face with the fact that we are not on top of the global food chain anymore. The hunters have now become the hunted. Those who used to dominate are now being dominated. We are not masters of our fate anymore. However, this dramatic fall from grace is not necessarily a bad thing at all. This new situation is the long-needed rude awakening to the harsh realities of life. This new situation forces us to rethink our priorities and rediscover those qualities that made us so powerful in the past. This new situation challenges us to refine and strengthen our competitive edge, train the flapping muscles of our civilization, to plan, to scheme, and to conspire. As a result, we will learn to pool our resources, synchronize our action, sharpen our wits, and organize ourselves to such a degree that when we finally make our decisive move in this great game, we will act as one, and we will strike with such force and move with such speed that the world will hold its breath. We will surprise our enemies, and we will surprise ourselves. After we have made our move, the world will not be the same anymore. The evolutionary struggle between civilizations is far from over, and if there is one thing absolutely certain in this world, it is that Europe will not perish. And all this we will achieve together. After our former power and glory has disappeared, all we have left is each other. So as you can see, Europe's current plight only works in our favor. Facing death and destruction together will unite us in a way that has not yet seen in our long history. How could anyone defeat Europe when we, for the first time in history, stand together? As pan-Europeans, we will not waste our time in arguing over the correct borders of some ancient feudal territories. As pan-Europeans, we will not waste our energy in reliving ancient ethnic conflicts that have somehow managed to survive to this day. As pan-Europeans, we refuse to be dragged down to the level of petty chauvinistic squabbles that for so long have sapped Europe's powers. Whatever happened in the past stays in the past. We refuse to be slaves of the past. As we rediscover our strength, we will turn our gaze upon our enemies, and we will come to the realization that indeed there are bigger fish to fry in this world than our past squabbles. Maybe you are now thinking that perhaps Europeans are already too civilized to fight for their place on this planet. Maybe you are thinking that perhaps the Europeans have already become too pacified to defend their rights. But I can assure you, even if 100 million Europeans refuse to take arms and defend their land, life and honor, we will always find 1 million who are determined to do so. And that, my friends, is more than enough to keep this process going and take it to its cataclysmic, brutal and victorious conclusion. The irony is that when we finally get the Europeans to fight, we have already won the war. And this is because our biggest enemy, in the end, is not the alien mob occupying our streets, but our unwillingness to do anything about it. Once we have helped our people to cross this psychological threshold, very soon they will be ready to do anything to drive out the enemy, and that is what we have been waiting for. The deciding battle of this war will be fought in the hearts and minds of the European people. We are dreamers and visionaries, while the liberals have become tired and scared. The liberals have lost the ability to dream and to evoke great emotions. All the liberals can do is to administer this ever-growing misery and desperately cling on to the remnants of their waning power. All that the liberals have left is the past and the crumbling illusion of being in control. All the liberals can give to people is threats of what will happen if people do not obey and yield to the demands of the elite. Liberals try to scare people, telling how they will suffer if they do not bow down before the rapacious institutions of global capitalism. Liberals try to shock people, telling how they will suffer if they do not surrender themselves completely and unconditionally to the forces of international finance. What the liberals fail to see is that our people are already suffering, and whatever they do, they will suffer even more in the future. All the liberals have in store for our people is more and more suffering, an endless cycle of suffering. Liberals warn people that if they turn their backs to the ever so wise elite and take no heed of its sound advice, a chaos will be unleashed. But what the liberals fail to understand, that we have already reached the point when we welcome the chaos. For us, chaos holds a promise of a new and better world for us. For us, chaos is the dance of Shiva that destroys all that is corrupt, deformed, foul and unfit to live. For us, chaos is a life-bringing force that is needed to recreate and rejuvenate the world. Like the spring follows the winter, new life will take root in the ruins of the old world. In nature, there is a season for everything, and now the time has come for the old world to die. Everything will be created anew. Our talented race will build a civilization which has no parallel in human history. We will surpass all our past achievements. Gods themselves will envy us for this opportunity to recreate the world better than ever, to bring into perfection what so long has been imperfect, and to unleash the greatness of our race. Our revolution is only the beginning of our future. The ramifications of our revolution will last for eons. like a pebble thrown into water, sends ripples to travel across time and space. Our revolution is the beginning of a process that will break the boundaries of time and space. Our idealism and fanatism will be the energy the new world feeds on. Our unyielding will, determination, and enthusiasm will transform our dreams into reality. Nothing is impossible to us. We will become masters of our fate. We will learn to know our true nature. We will rediscover our inner self. That tvam asi, that you are, will now finally become absolutely clear to us. Our dreams are nightmares to our enemies. We are believers, and our enemies are left with desperation. We have faith, they will have fear. No matter how the liberals try to deny it, we are already in their nightmares. No matter how they try to resist, deep down they already see their own demise. Uneasiness turns into worry, and worry into full-blown panic. The liberals can already see this path before them. When the liberals try to warn people about us, they always paint a picture of a sinister, relentless and cunning movement, a force of nature more like, that feeds on the turmoil, desperation, anger and hardship the liberals themselves have brought about but cannot cure. In short, the liberals subconsciously already admit that they are the disease and we are the cure. But indeed terrible things will be done, and that will be our burden and the greatest sacrifice of our generation. The spearhead of our movement will see and do things that cannot be discussed afterwards. Those who know more than others will bear this knowledge in their hearts and carry it into their graves. What must be done will be done, so that Europe can live. In the end, seemingly against all odds and to the horror of the powers that be, Europe endures, Europe survives, and Europe triumphs. Europe will be mercilessly purified and purged, and not a stone will be left unturned in order to find the criminals responsible for the debasement of our civilization. In order for Europe to survive, we will take the great leap beyond good and evil. Our conduct cannot be judged by the ethics of the day. Our actions will not be guided by the moral code of a weak and suicidal civilization. In order for Europe to survive, we will plunge into the unknown. We will sail uncharted waters, wrestle with alien gods, and shake the foundations of the earth. Europe's answer to external threats is not defense, but outrageous expansion. We will not sit idly by and wait to be overridden by barbarians. We carry the war into enemy territory. We demand absolute equality to all Europeans. We demand that the honor of the European people will be restored. We demand work, housing, protection of the law, and respect for all Europeans. We do not tolerate that our people do not have enough to eat, that they have to sleep in the streets, that they have no means to take care of their families, and that the liberal elite has denied them the right to a decent and respectable life. We do not tolerate that every day our people are being attacked by vile gangs of alien thugs the liberal elite has invited in. We do not tolerate that our people in their own native countries have to live in fear of foreign career criminals. We do not tolerate that our people, despite of their hospitality and kindness, are still constantly ridiculed, mocked, derided and vilified by malicious and perverse red intellectuals, academic parasites, spiritual enemies of Europe. And all this with the obliging help from the liberal media. It is totally unacceptable that Europeans have become slaves of the global capitalist mafia, that Europeans are being extorted and bled dry by international financial gangsters. It is totally unacceptable that these shameless scam artists have been given the right to take over our lives, steal our jobs, and expropriate our future. We place our hope in the young people of Europe. The new European youth will forsake the obsolete and stifling values they have been force-fed by the decaying society. The new youth will cast off all the wrong teachings, false dogmas, and lies the degenerating system has used to brainwash them. The new youth will create a movement of European fundamentalism. The new youth will ferociously pursue European interests on a world scale. We will not be insulted anymore, we will not be pushed around anymore, and we will not be abused anymore. The new European youth will be impatient, intolerant, and insatiable when it comes to defending Europe's honor. The prime directives for the new European youth will be command and conquer, seek and destroy. We can see it now clearly. This is war. a war of economic and social sabotage against the European people, a war of ethnic cleansing and physical replacement against the European people, and intellectual and emotional blackmail in order to subdue the Europeans. But I can assure you, we refuse to be at the receiving end of the stick for very long anymore. Soon Europe awakes, and when that day comes, then finally the storm breaks loose.